He stood perfectly still. The only sound in the long, polished hallway was the quiet swoosh of a mop on the wood floor. It was past midnight, and the building felt like a tomb. Gonzalo M. Vang, a man who had not felt a single ripple of surprise in 20 years, just stopped. His two bodyguards, both massive men in dark suits, froze right behind him. They were confused. They exchanged a quick look. The boss never stopped. Not for anyone. And he especially never stopped for the cleaning staff. But Gonzalo was not seeing a janitor. He was looking at the new woman. She was small, her hair pulled back in a tight, messy bun. She was wearing the cheap blue and gray uniform, her head down, focused on her work. He knew that face. He knew that name. The newspapers called him a ghost, a rich mystery man. The government had a different name for him entirely. For 2 decades, he had built an empire by feeling nothing. He had no wife, no friends, no weak spots. His heart was just a muscle. But as he looked at her, that dead muscle gave one single, hard beat. It was not love. It was the electric feeling a wolf gets when it finally sees the one hunter who is smart enough to find its lair. So this is their best move? He thought, a cold thrill running up his spine. After all this time, after all the experts they send me the ghost with a mop? He had to admire the nerve. He almost smiled. Let's play. He took one step and then another. The sound of his expensive leather shoes on the floor was soft, but she heard it. She stopped mopping, but she kept her head down. He stopped right next to her. She could probably smell the cologne on his suit. "You're new," he said. His voice was not loud, but it filled the empty hallway. It was deep, calm, and held all the power in the world. Angela White's heart jumped, but she had trained for this. She had to be small. She had to be scared. She looked up, making her eyes wide. "Yes, sir," she whispered. She made her voice tremble just a little. "Angela, it's my first day." Gonzalo looked down at her. His pale gray eyes were like polished stones. He was looking right into her. She felt like he could see every secret she had. After a long, heavy moment, a tiny, cold smile touched his lips. It did not reach his eyes. "See that you do good work, Angela." He turned and walked away. His bodyguards followed, one of them giving her a last, hard look. Angela leaned against her mop handle, letting out a shaky breath. Her heart was pounding. She had to get it under control. He didn't know, she thought. He just saw a cleaner. She thought she had fooled him. She thought her mission was just beginning. But she had no idea. She had no idea that he knew her name, her file, and her mission before he even said hello. Let me take you back to where it all began. But first of all, welcome back, my beautiful family and friends. If you're listening, hooked, and already enjoying the story, please hit subscribe. Tell me in the comments where you're listening from. I love seeing our community around the world. Tomorrow I'm dropping another sweet story, so don't miss it. And the first 4 people to comment with their real names will be featured in our next story. Now, let's continue. 6 months ago, Agent Angela White was in a gray, windowless room that smelled like burnt coffee. Her boss, Director Stevens, threw a thin file on the metal table between them. "Gonzalo M. Vang," Stevens said. His voice was tired. He looked like a man who hadn't slept in a week. Angela opened the file. The picture showed a tall, handsome man in a perfect suit. Tattoos were just visible on his neck. His eyes looked empty. "He's clean," Stevens said, rubbing his face. "Nobody is clean, sir," Angela said. "This man is. He owns Vang Enterprises, one of the biggest shipping and logistics companies in the world. He's a pillar of the community. He gives to charity. But we know he is the new head of the network. He's not a street boss. He's a boardroom boss. He moves money, he moves information, he moves politicians. And we cannot get near him. Stevens leaned forward. We have tried, Angela. We sent in a finance expert from our economic crimes unit. Vang's company found him out in 2 days. We sent in a corporate spy as a new vice president. She was fired in 6 hours. We tried to put a bug in his car. The car was found at the bottom of the river. He's a ghost, Angela said, closing the file. Just like you, Stevens said. That's why you're on this. But you can't go in as an agent. You can't go in as a professional. He can smell that a mile away. Look at this. He turned to the last page. Personal life, none. He has had no girlfriend, no wife, no date. For 20 years. He has no family. He has no friends. He works, he goes to his penthouse at the top of his building, and he sleeps. He trusts no one. He is a stone wall. Angela nodded. A man with no attachments. That's his strength. So, Stevens said, we have to use a new plan. A plan so crazy, so stupid, he will never see it coming. He paused. Vang Enterprises just hired a new cleaning company for their headquarters. You're going to be one of their new janitors. Angela didn't even smile. She understood. He'll be looking for a shark. He'll never see the minnow. Exactly, Stevens said. No one looks at the janitor. No one talks to the janitor. You are invisible. You will be Angela White, a woman with a fake past, a tiny apartment, and a mop. Your job is to get us anything. Password, computer file, a piece of paper from his trash. Get us one thread, Angela. Just one. And we will pull it until his whole empire falls apart. For the next 2 months, Angela trained. She did not train with guns. She trained in how to be small. She learned to walk with a tired shuffle. She learned to look at the floor when someone spoke to her. She learned to be the last person anyone would ever notice. Her janitor cart was her new arsenal. The big yellow bucket had a false bottom. Inside were tiny scanners, listening devices, and a data cloning kit. The blue cleaning spray bottles were filled with special chemicals. One was a gas that could knock a man out for 10 minutes. Another could lift fingerprints from a keyboard from 2 feet away. The long handle of her mop was a high-tech scanner. When she pushed it across the floor, it was secretly mapping the building's hidden wires and Wi-Fi signals. And now here she was, her first night. The Vang Enterprises building was a giant tower of dark glass. It was a fortress. Her new supervisor, a tired man named Sal, had given her the route. You're on floors 38 to 40, the executive floors. Just stay quiet, do your work, and don't touch anything you're not supposed to. The 40th floor was silent. The hallway was long, the wood floors polished like a dark mirror. A huge wall of living green plants grew on one side. Felt like walking in a rich, empty museum. She pushed her cart, the wheels making a tiny, squeaking sound. Squeak, squeak. She was focused. She was mapping the patrol routes of the night guards. She was noting the blind spots in the security cameras. She was in the zone. That's when she felt it. The air changed. She knew someone was watching her. She kept mopping, her heart starting to beat faster. Calm. Be the janitor. You are tired. Your feet hurt. You are not a spy. She heard the footsteps. They were quiet, but they were not sneakers. They were expensive leather shoes. Click, click, click. The footsteps stopped. Right behind her. Her hand, which was on the cart, moved just a little. It was touching the blue bottle of knockout gas. She was ready. You're new. The voice cut through the silence. She let out her practiced gasp. She looked up and found herself staring at Gonzalo M. Vang. The pictures did not do him justice. He was tall and his dark suit was perfect. He looked less like a businessman and more like a king. And his eyes, his pale, cold gray eyes were looking right at her. Two huge men in black suits stood behind him. His bodyguards. They looked bored and confused. Angela made her voice tremble. "Yes, sir. Angela. It's my first day, sir." There was a long silence. Felt like a year. He just watched her. She could feel sweat starting on her back. He knows. Oh God, he knows. The mission is over. He's gonna kill me right here. Then he gave that tiny, cold smile. "See that you do good work, Angela." He turned and walked away. Click, click, click. Angela waited until they turned the corner. She leaned against her mop cart, her legs weak. Her heart was pounding so hard, she thought it would break. She let out a long, shaky breath. "Okay, okay," she whispered. He didn't know. He just saw a cleaner. He just saw a new, nervous worker. The disguise worked. She was in. Step 1 was complete. Far, far away in his private, armored elevator, the doors closed. Gonzalo Vang was alone. His face was no longer smiling. It was a mask of cold stone. He tapped a small, dark screen on his watch. "Marco." A voice answered instantly in his ear. "Yes, boss." "The new janitor on the 40th floor. The one named Angela." "Yes, sir. Hired 2 days ago." Her background check was clean. "The background check is fake," Gonzalo said, his voice flat. "She is Agent Angela White. The ghost. She's federal." There was a sharp silence. Marco was his head of security. His enforcer. A man who solved problems with his hands. "Boss." Marco's voice was tight. "I can have her removed. It will be clean. Fast." "No," Gonzalo said, and his voice went cold. "You are not to touch her. No one is to talk to her. No one is to go near her. But, boss, you will put full, silent surveillance on her. I want to know every time she stops, every door she touches, every piece of trash she empties. I want to know when she breathes. She is the first interesting thing to happen in this building in 5 years. I want to see what she does. Do not spoil my fun, Marco." The elevator doors opened into his huge, dark penthouse apartment. "Yes, boss." Gonzalo stepped out. He walked to a giant screen that was hidden behind a painting. He touched the screen. He typed in a code. A file opened. It was the government's file. Her file. Agent Angela White. Call sign. The Ghost. Top of her class. Expert in infiltration, hand-to-hand combat, and data. Took down the Petrova Syndicate. Dismantled the Rio cartel. He looked at her real agency picture. Her hair was not in a bun. Her face was not tired. She was beautiful, and her eyes were sharp and smart. A real, genuine smile spread across his face. "Welcome to the game, Ghost," he whispered to the empty room. For the next 3 weeks, Angela lived 2 lives. By day, she was the tired, invisible woman who slept in a small, plain apartment. By night, she was the perfect janitor. She smiled weakly at the night shift security guards. She kept her head down. She did her job. But she was also a phantom. She was the ghost. And she was slowly, carefully, taking the building apart. When she emptied the trash in a vice president's office, her fingers, light as a feather, would find a crumpled memo. She would smooth it, scan it with a tiny device in her pocket, and then put it back, exactly as it was. When she accidentally spilled water near the server room door, she would kneel to clean it up. In those 10 seconds, her mop handle sent out a high-frequency pulse, scanning the electronic lock and its wiring. She was mapping the fortress. She found the hidden cameras, the blind spots, and the patrol routes of the guards. She was building a puzzle piece by piece. She thought she was being smart. She thought she was winning, but she had no idea that Gonzalo Vang was watching every single move. In his vast, dark penthouse, Gonzalo would sit in front of a wall of hidden screens. One screen was split into 12 different camera feeds, and all of them were following Janitor Angela. He watched her scan the server room lock. He watched her pocket a memo, scan it and put it back. He watched her use a special dusting cloth on a manager's keyboard, and he knew she was trying to steal his password. He was not angry. He was fascinated. Any other agent would have been caught by now. They would have been reckless. They would have tried to break into his office on the second day. But she was patient. She was smart. She was a professional. This silent, deadly game was the most fun he had had in 20 years. But not everyone was enjoying the game. His enforcer, Marco, was a man of action, not patience. He came to Gonzalo's office, his face tight with anger. "Boss, it's been 3 weeks," Marco said, his voice a low growl. "We have footage of her scanning the server room. We saw her steal data from a keyboard. She is not a cleaner. She is a Fed." Gonzalo did not look up from his computer. "I know what she is, Marco." "You know?" Marco was shocked. "And you are letting her walk around? She is a snake in the house. Let me take her out. It will be clean. It will be fast." "No," Gonzalo said. His voice went cold, and it made Marco flinch. "I told you, you will not touch her." "But, boss, this is a risk. This is not how we do things. You don't play with rats. You crush them." Gonzalo finally looked up, and his pale gray eyes were like ice. "She is not a rat. She is a mouse, and I am letting her run the maze. I want to see where she goes. I want to see what her bosses told her to find. She will find exactly what I want her to find, and nothing more. Are we clear?" Marco's hands were in tight fists. He did not understand his boss. For the first time, he thought the boss was making a mistake. He thought this woman was making him soft. "Yes, boss," Marco said, but his voice was angry. He left the office, but he was not satisfied. At the same time, Angela was in her own cheap apartment, getting yelled at by her own boss. "A map of the wires?" Director Stevens's voice snapped over the secure line. "What am I supposed to do with that, Angela? I need proof. I need bank accounts. I need a ledger. I need something real. The higher-ups are breathing down my neck. They are ready to pull the plug on this whole operation." "Sir, this man is careful," Angela argued, her voice low. "He's a ghost. I can't just walk into his office." "Then find a way," Stevens yelled. "You are the ghost, are you not? Or was that just a name? You have 1 week. Get me something hard or you are coming home. And your career will be over. You'll be at a desk for the rest of your life." The line went dead. Angela was trapped. Her bosses were pushing her. She knew Vang was smart. She had to do something drastic. She had to take the biggest risk of all. She had to get into his penthouse office. She studied his schedule for 3 days. She watched him come and go. She knew he had a standing meeting every Thursday night, from 11 p.m. to midnight, in a secure conference room in the subbasement. He never missed it. That was her window. 1 hour. That Thursday night, at 11:05 p.m., Angela pushed her cleaning cart into a dark storage closet. She quickly took off the blue janitor uniform. Underneath, she wore a simple, black tactical suit. She was no longer Angela the cleaner. She was the ghost. She moved through the silent hallways like a shadow. She got to the private elevator that went to the penthouse. She pulled a small, illegal device from her belt and pressed it to the security panel. The light turned from red to green. The elevator doors opened. She stepped inside and pressed the button for PH. The ride up was completely silent. Her heart was steady. This was her job. This was what she was good at. The doors opened. His office was huge, dark, and silent. The only light came from the giant, floor-to-ceiling windows that looked out over the entire city. Felt like she was standing in the sky. Her target was his desk. It was a massive piece of dark wood, as big as a car. If he had a private computer, it was there. If he had a hidden safe, it was there. She moved across the carpet, making no sound. She got to the desk. She knelt, pulling out her smallest, most advanced listening device. It was the size of a grain of rice. She was going to plant it right under the desk, where he would never see it. She was on her hands and knees, her fingers finding the perfect, hidden spot on the cold wood. Ding! Angela's blood turned to ice. The private elevator. The one she just used. It was coming up. No, it was not possible. He was in the meeting. It was a trap. She knew it. She had felt it. She scrambled, hiding in the deep, dark shadow under the desk. It was her only chance. She pulled the small pistol from the holster on her ankle. She held her breath, trying to be completely still. The elevator doors swooshed open. A figure stepped out. He was not in his suit. He was in a simple black shirt and dark pants. It was Gonzalo. He did not turn on the lights. He just stood there for a moment, letting his eyes adjust to the darkness. Then he walked, slowly, toward the desk. He stopped right in front of where she was hiding. Angela was frozen. She could smell his cologne. It was subtle, like wood and spice. She could see his expensive shoes, just inches from her face. She was sure he could hear her heart beating. He stood there for a full minute, just looking out the window at his city. Angela's muscles were screaming. Her leg was cramping. She had to move. Then he sighed. A deep, tired sound. He looked down. He looked right at her, into the shadow where she was hiding. His gray eyes seemed to find her in the dark. Angela's finger tightened on the trigger. This is it. He's going to kill me. I have to shoot first. You missed this, he said. His voice was soft. Not angry. Not surprised. Just calm. Angela was completely confused. What? He reached down, not at her, but past her. He pointed to the small silver trash can by the desk leg. The trash, he said. You're the janitor. You're supposed to empty it. The silence in the penthouse office was a living thing. It was heavy and cold. Angela was trapped in the shadow of the desk, her gun a useless weight in her hand. Gonzalo Vang was standing right there, his form a dark shape against the city lights. He had told her to empty the trash. He knew. He wasn't surprised. He wasn't angry. He was amused. He had been toying with her this entire time. Her mind was racing. Her training as the ghost took over. This was not a fight. This was a performance. Her life depended on it. Slowly, she made her hands shake. She pushed her pistol back into its hidden ankle holster. She stood up, her body small, her head bowed. She did not look him in the eye. Sir, I am so sorry, she whispered. Her voice was trembling, but it was not all an act. Her heart was hammering against her ribs. I saw the elevator door. It was open. I thought I was supposed to. I'm sorry, sir. I'll go. Gonzalo did not move. He just watched her. He was a lion watching a mouse that had just tried to steal his food. I'll go now, she stammered. He said nothing. He just watched her with those cold, pale gray eyes. He was enjoying this. He was enjoying her terror. Angela had to force her legs to move. She backed away step by agonizing step. She was waiting for the bullet. She was waiting for his bodyguards to burst in and grab her. Nothing happened. She got to the elevator. She pressed the button. Felt like an hour. Ding. The doors opened. She stepped in, her back to the wall, never taking her eyes off him. He was still standing by the desk, a shadow against the stars. He gave a small, slow nod. It was a dismissal. It was a checkmate. The elevator doors closed. The second they shut, Angela fell against the wall, gasping for air. Her legs gave out and she slid to the floor. She was not a spy. She was not the ghost. She was a fool. He had been playing with her. From that very first night in the hallway, he knew. He had been watching her map his building, scan his locks, and dig through his trash. He had been laughing at her. He had let her come up here. He had waited for her. And then, instead of killing her, he had humiliated her. He had shown her that she was not a threat. She was a toy. By the time she got back to her tiny, dark apartment, her terror had turned into a cold, hard rage. She got on her secure line to Director Stevens. "He knows," she said, her voice flat. There was no emotion. "The mission is blown. He was waiting for me in his penthouse. He called me out." There was a silence on the other end. Then her boss's voice. "What do you mean, called you out? Did he call you Agent White? Did he pull a gun?" "No," Angela said, closing her eyes. He told me to empty the trash. That's it." Stevens sounded annoyed, not scared. "You broke into his private office, and he told you to empty the trash? And now you're saying the mission is over." "Sir, you don't understand," Angela said, her voice rising. He wasn't surprised. He wasn't angry. He was toying with me. He's been toying with me this whole time. He knows who I am. I am 100% sure. "Agent White, you're getting paranoid," Stevens snapped. "He's a civilian, not a mind reader. He's a rich guy who found a cleaner in his office in the middle of the night. He was probably asserting his dominance. He was showing you who was boss. You held your cover. That's good. Don't create fantasies." "Sir, this is not a fantasy. I am telling you, he knows. Your job is not to feel." "Agent," Stevens yelled. "Your job is to get evidence. I am sick of these games. I'm running out of time and money. The higher-ups are ready to pull the plug. You have 24 hours. One day, you get me something hard or you are fired. And I don't mean fired from the mission. I mean fired from the agency. You'll be filing reports in a basement for the rest of your life. Do you understand me?" The line went dead. Angela threw the device against the wall. She was alone. Her boss thought she was crazy. The man she was hunting was laughing at her. And she had 24 hours to do the impossible. In the penthouse, Gonzalo Vang poured himself a drink. He was watching a hidden camera feed. It showed Angela walking out of the main elevator, her face pale. He smiled and took a sip. The private elevator doors opened, and Marco burst in. His face was red with anger. "Boss, I watched the security feed. You had her," Marco yelled. "She was in your office. She was on her hands and knees, and you let her go." Gonzalo turned, his smile gone. His eyes were like ice. "Yes. Why?" Marco was furious. "This is a mistake. She is making you soft. You are playing with a snake, and it is going to bite you." Gonzalo set his glass down very slowly. "She is not a snake, Marco. She is a tool. And she is not done being useful." He walked over to his enforcer. "Think. She is the best agent they have. She just failed, and she knows I let her fail. She is embarrassed. She is angry." He pointed to a small speaker. "And I have a bug in her apartment. I just heard her boss give her an ultimatum. She has 24 hours to get hard proof, or her career is over." "What does a desperate person do, Marco?" Marco's face slowly changed. He was beginning to understand. They will take any risk. They will grab anything. Exactly, Gonzalo said. A desperate mouse will eat any cheese, even if it's sitting in the middle of a trap. He walked to his desk. It's time. Get me the old ledger. The one from the Red Hook warehouse deal. Marco's eyes widened. The shell company. The empty warehouse. It's a dead end. It's nothing. It looks like everything, Gonzalo said, a cold, ruthless smile returning. It has names. It has dates. It has bank accounts. It has a big shipment of electronics arriving tomorrow night. It is the perfect, beautiful hard proof her bosses are screaming for. He picked up his phone. I want this ledger forgotten in conference room B, and I want to change the cleaning schedule. Tonight, I want Angela to do a special, deep clean of conference room B. All by herself. Angela's shift started with a new order. Her supervisor told her there was a special request. They had a big, messy meeting in conference room B. They need you to clean it, top to bottom. Her stomach tightened. Conference room B. It was rarely used. It was for private meetings. It's a trap. Her mind was screaming. It's a trap. It's a trap. But what choice did she have? She had 24 hours. She had to walk into it. She pushed her cart into the silent, dark conference room. It was huge, with a long, polished table that reflected the city lights from the window. The room was perfectly clean. There had been no messy meeting. And sitting right in the middle of the table, all by itself, was a black, leather-bound book. Angela stopped. She could hear her own heart beating in the silence. It was the most obvious trap in the history of spying. It was an insult. He was not even trying to hide it. He was daring her. She thought about her boss's voice. Get me something hard. She thought about Gonzalo's cold, mocking smile. She knew it was fake. She knew it was the cheese. But she had to take it. Angela stood in the dark, silent conference room. The black book sat on the table, a dark square against the polished wood. It was a trap. Her mind was screaming it. This was not a clue. It was an invitation to a funeral. Her funeral. She thought of Gonzalo's cold, mocking smile in the penthouse. He was daring her. He was holding this fake piece of bait out and saying, "Go on. I know you're smart enough to see it. But are you desperate enough to take it?" She thought of Director Stevens's angry voice. 24 hours? Or you're fired. She was trapped. She was trapped between her enemy, who knew she was smart, and her boss, who thought she was paranoid. Fine, she thought, a cold anger replacing her fear. If he wants me to take the bait, I'll take it. But I'll do it my way. She knew he was watching. She pulled a small device from her pocket, and it immediately beeped. A camera in the smoke detector. Another in a wall socket. Okay, Gonzalo. You want a show? Watch this. She did not touch the book. Not at first. Instead, she calmly began to clean the room. She emptied the already empty trash cans. She wiped down the already clean chairs. She was the perfect, invisible janitor. Then she moved to the long conference table. She accidentally knocked the book with her cleaning cloth. "Oh, goodness," she whispered to herself, playing the part. She picked it up. She was just a cleaner tidying up. And as she held it, she pulled out her high-speed scanner, which was disguised as a cell phone. She opened the book. It was perfect. A list of names. A list of offshore bank accounts. And the final beautiful lie. A schedule for a massive illegal weapons shipment arriving at a warehouse in Red Hook. Tomorrow night. Click whir. Click whir. Her fingers flew, scanning every single page. The whole thing took less than a minute. She put the scanner back in her pocket. She closed the book. She placed it exactly back where she found it. She finished cleaning the table and, without a second glance, pushed her cart out of the room. She had the data. The trap was sprung. In his penthouse, Gonzalo Vang watched the screen. He saw her find the cameras. He saw her scan the pages. He saw her put the book back and walk away. He smiled. "She's good," he said to the empty room. "She's so good." Marco stepped out from the shadows. "She took the bait." "Yes," Gonzalo said. "She's smart enough to know it's a trap. But she's also smart enough to know her bosses are fools who will believe it. She's giving it to them. And they will act." "The warehouse is empty, boss," Marco said, a grin on his face. "Cleaned out for years." "I know," Gonzalo said. "Have our men put a small welcome gift in the middle of the floor. Something appropriate." The moment Angela got back to her apartment, her hands were shaking, but with anger, not fear. She uploaded the scanned data. Her secure phone rang so fast, it made her jump. It was Director Stevens. He was not yelling anymore. His voice was full of excitement. "Angela, my God, you did it. This is it," he shouted. "A ledger, bank accounts, a shipment. Tomorrow night. We have him. We finally have him." "Sir," Angela said, her voice flat and cold. "Listen to me very, very carefully. It is a trap." The happy voice on the other end went silent. "What? Agent, don't be ridiculous. This is hard evidence." "It was too easy, sir," she said, trying to stay calm. "He left it for me. It was sitting on a table in an empty room. He wanted me to find it. He is playing us." "That's enough," Stevens shouted, his good mood gone. "I am sick of your paranoia. It's going to cost us this case. I have what I need. Your job was to get the intel. You got it. You are done. Good work. Get out of the building. Your mission is over." The line went dead. He didn't listen. He didn't want to listen. He just wanted the win. Angela sat on her small bed. It was over. The next morning, she got a text message. It was from the cleaning company. "Your services are no longer required. Fired." By a text. Gonzalo Vang had won. That night, Angela sat in her own dark car, parked 2 blocks away from the Red Hook warehouse. She was not supposed to be there. She was officially off the case. But she had to see the end. She listened to the encrypted agency radio. At 11 p.m., the raid started. "Go! Go! Go!" She heard the team leader shout. "Breach! Breach!" She heard the sound of doors smashing and men yelling, "Federal agents! Get down! Get down!" A pause. Then silence. "Sir?" the team leader's voice said. It was full of confusion. "What is it?" "Report." Stevens's voice yelled back over the radio. "Sir, the building is empty. Check again. Check the containers." "Sir," the team leader said, his voice strained. "There are no containers. There's nothing here. It's a shell. There's not even dust. This place has been abandoned for years." Another voice came on the radio. "Sir, the lights just came on. In the middle of the floor, there's a gift basket with a note." "What does the note say?" Stevens's voice was dangerously quiet. "It says, 'Thanks for playing. V.'" Angela turned off the radio. She closed her eyes. She felt cold and sick. He hadn't just beaten them. He had mocked them. Her career was over. She was disgraced. She was the agent who had led the agency into the most embarrassing public failure in its history. She didn't go back to the office. What was the point? To be yelled at? To be put at a desk, filing reports for the rest of her life? She just got out of her car and started walking. The sky opened up, and it started to rain. Cold, miserable rain. She didn't have an umbrella. She just walked, her clothes getting soaked, her mind empty. A black, sleek car pulled up beside her. It was not a police car. It was an armored sedan, silent and expensive. The back window rolled down. Gonzalo M. Vang was sitting inside. He was not in a suit. He was in a simple gray sweater. He looked relaxed. "Get in, Angela," he said. It was not a request. She stopped. She looked at the man who had just destroyed her life. What else could she do? She opened the heavy door and got in. The car was warm and silent. It smelled like leather. It pulled away from the curb, moving smoothly through the rain. They sat in silence for a long time. "You're a very good agent," he said finally, his voice quiet. He was looking out the window at the rain. "The best I've ever seen." Angela just stared at him, her heart full of a cold, quiet hate. "You were right, you know," he said. "It was a trap. You told your bosses, didn't you? And they didn't listen." Her head snapped toward him. How did you know that?" "I know everything that happens in my city," he said, finally turning to look at her. His gray eyes were not cold now. They were something else, intense. "I know they're furious with you. They think you failed. They're going to blame you for the entire thing. Your career as the ghost is over." "You did this," she said, her voice shaking with anger. "I did," he admitted. "It was a game, and I won. But I don't like waste. And you, Angela, are too skilled to be wasted." He leaned a little closer. "So you have a choice. You can go back to your office. You can take your punishment. You can sit at a desk, filing reports for the rest of your life, always wondering what if." He paused, letting the words sink in. "Or you can come work for me." Angela stared at him. The rain beat against the roof of the car, a private, steady drumming in the warm, silent space. Work for him? The man who had just systematically destroyed her career? The man who had humiliated her and made her agency look like a team of fools? It was an insane idea. It was a joke. But what was her other option? She pictured it. Walking back into Director Stevens's office. The looks on everyone's faces. The pity. The anger. The "I told you so." And then the desk. A small, gray desk in a windowless basement, filing reports for the rest of her life. A ghost, but not the good kind. The kind that just haunts a building, forgotten. Gonzalo had called her waste. He was right. That's what she would be. But this was not a desk. This was the command center. This was not a defeat. This was an opportunity. Her agency had failed. They were loud and they were clumsy. They had tried to break down the front door. Gonzalo Vang was offering to open it for her. He was offering her a way inside. The real inside. Past the janitor uniforms, past the fake ledgers. He was offering her a seat at his table. From there, from the inside, a person could do anything. A person could learn all his secrets. A person could find his real weaknesses. A person could wait for the perfect moment and burn the entire empire to the ground. This was not an offer of employment. This was the greatest infiltration mission of her life. Angela took a slow breath. She looked away from the rain and met his pale, gray eyes. Her expression was not one of defeat. It was cold. It was hard. It was the look of a professional. "What are the terms?" she asked. A small, slow smile spread across Gonzalo's face. It was not a smile of mockery. It was one of respect. He had known she would say yes. "The terms are simple," he said. "Agent Angela White is gone. She is disgraced. In a week, she will formally resign from her job, citing personal stress. She will disappear." The car turned, moving away from her old, poor neighborhood and heading toward the rich, glittering center of the city. You will become Elena Costa, a private consultant I have been working with from Europe. Someone who sees the world the way I do. Someone I trust. And what does Elena do? Angela asked. She fixes my problems, Gonzalo said. I am surrounded by men like Marco. Men who are loyal, but they are hammers. They see every problem as a nail. They are loud, and they leave a mess. He turned in his seat to face her more directly. You are not a hammer. You are a scalpel. You are quiet. You are precise. You see the whole game. You will be my strategist. You will be my ghost. The car pulled into a private, underground garage and stopped. A bodyguard opened her door. You will not go back to your old apartment, Gonzalo said, getting out. Your new life starts now. He led her to a private elevator. It opened not into an office, but into a stunning, massive penthouse apartment. It was another one, not his. The windows showed a breathtaking 200-degree view of the city. It was clean, modern, and completely empty. This is yours, he said. A new phone, new clothes, new life. Everything you need will be here in an hour. And my first job? She asked, walking to the giant window. She was a prisoner in a golden cage. Your first job, Gonzalo said, is to handle Marco. As if summoned, the private elevator doors opened again, and Marco stepped in. He stopped dead when he saw Angela. His face turned dark red. Boss, what is this? What is she doing here? He growled. Elena is my new consultant, Gonzalo said, his voice calm and flat. She will be working with me directly. She will have full access. Full access, Marco yelled. Boss, she's a Fed. She is the enemy. You can't be serious. You let her play you, and now you are bringing her inside. She is here, Gonzalo said, his voice dropping, because I have a use for her, and you have a use for him. Gonzalo corrected himself, looking at Angela. Marco's loyalty is valuable, but his anger makes him sloppy. He is a liability. He needs a partner, someone to balance him. You want me to partner with her? Marco looked like he was going to explode. No, Angela said. Her voice was quiet, but it cut through the room. Marco, Gonzalo, and even the bodyguard stopped. Angela turned away from the window. She looked at Marco, her eyes cold and steady. He doesn't want me to be your partner, Marco. He wants me to be your boss. Marco's hand went to the gun under his jacket. You little Marco. Gonzalo's voice was a whip crack. Marco froze. Angela walked slowly toward him. She was small and she was unarmed. But she was not the janitor anymore. You're angry, she said, because I beat you, because a little Fed, walked into your building with a mop and made you all look like fools. And you couldn't stop me. You couldn't even see me. She stopped right in front of him. And you're scared, because she nodded at Gonzalo. He knows I'm smarter than you. He knows I can see things you can't. And he knows I don't need a gun to win. She looked at Gonzalo. You want me to handle him? Fine. Here's how we handle him. Marco is a problem. He's emotional. He's predictable. And he is a weakness. He's the first person the feds will target because he's a loud, angry dog on a chain. You want to fix your empire? You start by fixing your security. And that means my way. Quiet. Invisible. Smart. Not this. Marco was shaking with rage. Boss, she can't talk to me like that. Gonzalo was silent for a long moment. He looked at Angela and then at Marco. Then he smiled. She is right, Marco, Gonzalo said. She saw the flaws in this building in 3 weeks that you haven't seen in 10 years. From now on, you will listen to Elena. She speaks with my voice. You will do what she says. Is that understood? Marco's face was a mask of pure hate. He looked at Angela. Yes, boss. Good, Gonzalo said. He walked to the elevator. I will leave you two to get to know each other. The elevator doors closed, leaving Angela alone with the one man in the world who wanted her dead more than anyone. Marco stared at her. He may trust you, but I will be watching, and the second you slip, I will kill you myself. I know, Angela said. She turned her back on him and walked to the window, dismissing him just as Gonzalo had dismissed her. You can see yourself out, Marco. She heard him curse, then the sound of the elevator. She was alone. She looked down at the city. She had lost. Her career was over. Her old life was gone. But as she stood in her new, empty, beautiful penthouse, she felt a small, cold, dangerous smile touch her lips. She had just been handed the keys to the kingdom. Her mission was not over. It had just truly begun. Thank you for listening all the way. Your support means everything. Subscribe, leave a comment with your real name and where you're from, and you might see your shout out in the next story. You never know the next part of the story.